Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the next episode of Final Stallions!
Oh no, it's recording! Ah, this is live! Same voice. Recording in progress.
Did you record that, Benny?
Huh?
Was that you? That was pretty identical.
No, because I keep hearing, because when I do online bass lessons, I put it on and it's like, recording in progress.
Like, okay, so you're familiar with the lovely lady that does that.
He does that, yeah. I hope she gets some serious royalties for that. So.
Yeah.
We like to say it's Vinyl Valerie, and we just say to the horse, welcoming our guest into the fine podcast that is Vinyl Stallions.
Also,
I gotta figure out who actually said that, if it's anybody really.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, today we have an incredible guest. We have the one, the only, Benny Rietveld. Benny is an extremely decorated musician, bass player, currently the bass player in Santana, has worked with other legendary artists like Huey Lewis, Miles Davis, and he also has a couple solo albums.
Can I just... That whole Huey Lewis thing, I never worked with them. I was in a band that opened up for them. The original bio that I wrote way back then was that I was in a band. I was working with an artist named Bonnie Hayes, a really serious writer, songwriter, and composer. And we did a tour or two opening for Huey Lewis.
Okay.
And since they're all from the Bay Area and everyone kind of knew each other, I guess, I don't know how it got transmogrified into that, but let me, for the record right now here, you heard it first. No, I did not.
All right. The mystery has been solved.
Yeah. All right. So Benny, take us way, way back. So you were born in the Netherlands, correct?
Yeah.
And how long?
Grew up in Hawaii.
Yeah, I was born in Holland, but we only stayed there for 1 year, so I don't remember anything about it.
Okay.
Just long enough to have the last name, and long enough for people who want to go to Holland or Dutch people around the world say, "Why don't you speak Dutch? What's wrong with you?" And I said, "I'm sorry, I was raised in the United States." And then we stopped in California for 2 years, and then I guess my parents got a job in Hawaii, or I think they liked it in Hawaii because it was pretty nice weather. So and we ended up there, and there I was, and I grew up there.
And so did you grow up on Oahu?
Yep, Honolulu.
That is in guard. So I just visited there for the first time 2 years ago, and I took a scooter all over that island. It was an incredible time to visit the North Shore, one in Sharks Cove. What are some of your favorite things about to do on that island?
Drowned there. I mean, probably a lot of people almost drowned there, but Oahu is still beautiful. I mean, the mountain range, the Ko'olaus everyone likes to say how much it's changed. Everything changes everywhere, so that's part of it. But I don't know. I still love it. The Ko'olaus are great. There's a lot of good music there. A lot of good, talented kids out there. Music, acting. A lot of good filmmakers. Actually, it's really kind of coming up there. So I still really love it there. Yeah.
I am planning on going back. My buddy's stationed there as a doctor, and I want to go island hopping. What are 2 other islands I should hit?
Kauai, Molokai. But the cool thing about Hawaii is that every island they have different personalities. Kauai is the oldest island, so it's like 5 million years old. So it's got this great primordial, really like Jurassic. Well, they filmed Jurassic Park there.
Oh wow!
And then as you go down the chain, geologically speaking, they're just volcanoes that poke up out of the out of this ocean every every couple of millennia or so. So, and then as you go down the chain, the Big Island or the island of Hawaii is, I think, 120,000 years old. So there's quite a difference. And the Big Island has this whole other vibe. Like it's much more newer, fresher. There's still volcanoes. I mean, you know, you can go up in the mountains. There's snow. You can go right down to the beach. It's Yeah, each island has its own vibe. It's great personality. Maui. I don't know. I'd go any island really, but I think if you want to get away, go to Molokai, and then Kauai is like the nice. I mean, it might be a little crowded now, but yeah, if you go stay up north, it's beautiful. Yeah.
Awesome. I
Any
appreciate it. I know that's what I was gonna say. I guess you really can't go wrong once you cross over there in that into the Pacific.
Yeah.
Well, I do usually tell people not to go, but at all because you know, I kind of
It's overcrowded. Yeah.
yeah, it's a terrible place. Don't go.
Yeah. And so you went to school there, and then when did you start making it back to the U.S., or what brought you back to the mainland?
Let's see. I realized that I needed to get more musical tutelage than was available on the island at the time. You know, like learn more. And the only, you know, drawback about being an island that's so isolated is that there was very little opportunity to see other guys playing, you know, that, you know, come through town. Like if you're on the mainland, and people are always coming through town, you go see them play at some club or something and you get inspired, you learn, you hang out. And so there wasn't enough of that, and especially in terms of bass. But so yeah, I had just decided, okay, I gotta split. So I did.
What, I guess, like, roughly at what point was that in your life? And then I guess to like prelude that, when did you, you know, take an interest in bass and start playing?
Oh, I was playing bass in Hawaii. I mean, I started on piano, you know, like 10.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And, you know, played a little guitar and stuff. I was playing drums and, you know, when you're a kid, you're messing around and everything.
Yeah, that's a whole band right there, Benny.
Yeah, I know. And so me and my cousin Fred had a band, and I was playing drums. You know, I was like whatever, 13 or whatever, and then we lost our bass player, and we were kids. We didn't know any other musicians except one guy, and he was a drummer. So he said, "Well, why don't you just play bass then?" I'm like, "Okay, great," you know. And that's kind of, and it's funny, but you ask most bass players, and they'll probably tell you a very similar story. Where most of us kind of fall into the instrument, and we get, you know, we're failed guitar players or something. You know. Anyway, yeah. So that's how it happened, and then I just took to it, and you know, it was lots of fun, and just kept playing. You know. And we never got another bass player, so I stayed on bass.
Right on.
Absolutely. So once you went out to school for there and then started coming back, when did you start breaking into the scene? Like, what was the project you were working with at the time, and what steps were you taking?
You know, back then it was a lot more live music playing, so I was playing, and you know, with older guys playing tea dances and playing, you know, there's a lot of gigs out there, and I played with my uncle, who was a fiddler actually, and we played a lot of bluegrass and played on the street, you know, kind of busked, would be back before it was called busking, I guess, on the beach there in Waikiki under this big banyan tree, which is no longer there, unfortunately. And yeah, a lot of weird, you know, because I had my cousin who was older, his dad who was a guitar player also. So, you know, they were able to bring me in, and my uncle also, you know, was older, and he brought me to gigs at whatever I could do, as a 14 or 15-year-old. And then that's kind of, I was already in whatever scene that was. And then I guess, well, me and my buddies in high school had a jazz fusion band called Topaz, and then we started making a kind of a splash because they were like all these young high school kids playing chicoria stuff, and weird, McLaughlin stuff, because we were into it big time, all the
How can you
nerdy.
not be?
Yeah, I love Cheek. He's probably my favorite piano player.
I mean, yeah, still to this day, right?
Yeah.
So
Actually, on that, where is it behind me? I have every single Return to Forever album.
yeah, those are those albums. Like, I was actually alive when they actually came out, and you have no idea. It's like finding out, Darth Vader is Luke's father for the first time, that kind of thing. I mean, it was like, and blew our minds, man. We're like, what? So yeah. Although I was into prog before that, so
Okay.
set the stage. I was kind of a big Yes and Emerson, Lake and Palmer head,
Dude, those are two of my favorite bands.
Heck yeah, no. Actually, to this day, yes, I'm down with, So
Have you listened to their new album? They just came out with
No.
one like not even 2 weeks ago.
Really?
Yeah, check it out. It is really good.
I'm kind of a weird purist. Like, it's got to be the Alan White years, and then
Yeah, rest in peace.
yeah, I know, what an amazing drummer. Wow, wish I could have played with him. And then only up until after Topograph. Actually, no, Relay is fucking amazing. What am I talking about?
Yeah.
And then after that, there's a lot of cool stuff, but then I kind of lost track because, you started listening to other kinds of music and all this stuff. But my imprinted, do you know how you get imprinted? Imprinted years were Yes Songs, Topographic, and Relayer, and I'm like all over that. I know every note on all those. So anyway, yeah. And then it kind of some guy at a music store said, "Hey, have you checked out Chick Corea? He's a keyboard player." Ron Gates, if you're out there, thanks again. Yeah, he was a guy in a music store, and also a keyboard player. And he said, "You should check out Return to Forever, man." And I did, and we all went, "Whoa!" So that was that. But yeah, so we had the high school band that played all that stuff, and so everybody was like, "Ooh," and so I think that's how I started getting some gigs. But then the big break into the local music scene would be when our drummer Noel Okimoto was like already like really good at jazz. I mean, I was crap at jazz, but but he was already good because his dad was a drummer and also a good drummer. So he was like the guy already. Like at 17, he was playing with all these jazz guys. So in Hawaii, there was a major jazz figure named Gabe Baltazar, and he was an alto sax player who played with Stan Kenton. Toured around in the 50s, had albums out with him, and then he moved back to Hawaii. He was from Hawaii, moved back to Hawaii, and he wanted to start a little local jazz hit, and he asked Noel to play, obviously, because he was like, and he asked Noel, "Hey, what's a young bass player that you like to work with?" And thank God Noel mentioned me. So yeah, I ended up playing in that band, and that band kind of, well, I don't know if it started it, but it was concurrent with this big jazz renaissance in Hawaii at the time, like 1976 or 78, something like that.
Okay.
And so we played, and I played upright bass, which I didn't know how to play at the time. uh, and yeah, so we played 5 nights a week in one place for a good number of years, like 2 or 3 years running straight, you know.
Wow.
Yeah, because you could kind of do that kind of thing back then.
Hmm.
There's no internet, no DJs, and also Hawaii is a kind of a tourist culture, so a lot of there's always new fans just kind of visiting, from Japan, the whole Pacific Rim, or from the mainland or something. And so,
Yeah. Yeah, that's something I wouldn't have considered. That is a great point.
yeah, it's kind of like Vegas in a way. It's like it's a really transient audience base, so you can always get a decent crowd. So it was great, really fertile ground, and I got to learn a lot of bebop at that time. So
And so we flash forward then, you said that was the mid 70s. And so then in 1983 is when you went over to San Francisco. Is that correct?
right.
And then in 1984 is when you joined Sheila E.
Uh-huh.
How did that come to fruition, joining Sheila E?
Well, she's also from the Bay Area, right? So she's from the Bay Area. And I was working with a couple of Bay Area legends. Oh, actually, some guys are more than that. This guy, Ray Oviedo, who great guitar player and jazz writer, played with Herbie Hancock and all this stuff. And he was a Bay Area, icon. I was playing in his band, and Sheila came in, because she knew everybody. And she sat in on drums, and we had a great rapport. She still is, as the last I heard, still phenomenal drummer, right? And back then she was blazing, right? So I'm like, wow, this is great, right? So we have a good connection. And and then she said, hey, I just recorded an album. I need a band to take on the road. Do you want to want to play? I went, yeah, sure. Oh, are you kidding? Yeah, this is great. So that's how it started. Yeah.
Had you ventured around the mainland US a lot before that, or was that kind of your first big exposure?
That was the first. I think the Gabe Baltazar group, we did one small tour of California, but yeah, I didn't really know anything about it. So yeah, that was pretty much, like propeller cap on,
I guess over your years now of just doing so many tours throughout the US, is there one specific city that has surprised you?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. There's a lot. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I'd go to places with pretty open minds. So, I think at first, yeah, some of the smaller cities that I never heard of, I thought, oh, this is, how's this going to work? But I don't know, there's great people everywhere, and everybody wants to hear music. So, yeah, yeah. I'm trying to think of a place that really surprised me. I think, or everything was a surprise to me. I'm from Hawaii, right? So,
Yeah.
Yeah, like
It's all right. I guess that was just a pull for you to hopefully say Cleveland, Ohio.
oh,
Nah, I'm kidding. But no, it is. Yeah. Like you said, you really didn't have too much of an idea going in what it was going to be like. So I'm sure they all surprised you.
all I knew was it was cold as fuck, because even San Francisco was cold. I was wearing layers and like scarf, and I was from Hawaii, so even 60s were like, ooh, cool.
Yeah, that's us in shorts and making sure we're outside all day.
I know. Now I know, but yeah, Detroit was fun. I know that Sheila tour. That was like the first time I'd seen snow. So I was pretty amazed.
Yeah, lot of snow up there. I'm like an hour south of Detroit, so
Yeah. Well,
definitely feel that.
well, the first the first time was actually I I I ended up at the home of this woman, and I remember waking up and looked out the window and I saw basically it had dusted like it sprinkled over the night, but I'd never seen snow before. For me,
Ooh.
I was like, oh my God. I was thinking, I was telling her, can I get back to the hotel? I need to get back because we have a sound check. She's looking at me like, are you for real? What? I mean, it was literally just a dusting. I was like, but for me, it was like snow. Oh my God. So yeah, that was my first snow story.
Hey, everyone has one.
Yeah. And the first time it was some other part of the tour, it had fallen pretty heavy and I was trying to make snowballs and I didn't realize that there's some different types of snow. And it wasn't packing. And I was like, what? Am I that lame? I can't even make a snowball.
Yeah. Like it was a personal problem.
Like, oh my God, I'm from Hawaii. I don't know anything about snow. But yeah, so.
Okay. So that kind of takes us through the mid 80s. So what leads from that to going to, you're playing with Sheila and then a few years later you're playing with Miles Davis. So fill in
Yep.
those gaps for us.
Okay. I left Sheila maybe 86, I think.
Okay.
Wait. Yeah, about 87, I think. I don't know, 86 or 87. And then I was playing around, and that's when I was touring with Bonnie Hayes, that singer-songwriter,
Mm-hmm.
and just doing a lot of local stuff again. And with Ray and Pete Escovedo, Sheila's dad, and all these people, Linda Tillery, doing sessions with my friends Teresa Troll and all, Barbara Higbee. And then I get a call. That's right. I got a call from Prince's tour manager, Alan Leeds. And he goes, hey, Benny, what's up? And I was like, oh, nothing. I'm just trying to, kicking around some local stuff. And he said, hey, you want to play with Miles Davis? And I'm like, well, yeah. I mean, what? That's kind of he said, well, he's looking for a bass player. And he was and the story is, and I don't really know, I can't confirm it, so I don't want to spread another rumor. But what he said was that Sheila and Prince had recommended me because Miles apparently was looking for somebody who had, kind of experience with that kind of, sound, that whole, the kind of the modern, at the time, modern kind of music kind of thing. I think that might be totally wrong. I don't know. That's what I heard. So, but anyway, he said, yeah, here's Miles's manager's number. Give him a call. And so I called Gordon Meltzer and I said, hey, I heard you need a bass player. I think part of me thought it was a joke. And also, if you talk to a lot of people, they'll say the same thing. A lot of people think, oh, this is someone having a laugh, whatever, pulling a joke or something. But so I called him. He said, yeah. He said, send a picture and a tape, like a demo thing, so I could, I guess, so I didn't have any kind of demo material, so I had to make one up. And then I sent it to them, and then he called back and he goes, oh yeah, so I guess, you got the gig. You just got to come down and rehearse with the band, see if you fit, And then he said, oh, here's Miles. He wants to talk to you. I'm like, what? I mean, yeah, it was so weird, and he just, I don't even remember what he said. He said like, you know, sounds good, and um, Prince and stuff. I'm like, oh yeah. Um, but then yeah, he said he'll see me, and then so they we flew down and rehearsed in Santa Monica, and I think it was Santa Monica. Oh no, we stayed in Santa Monica. I don't know where we rehearsed, but yeah, and I had to listen to a lot of tapes of previous shows, and I couldn't figure out anything from the tapes other than the basic parts. So um, so we rehearsed like for an hour. We did, and then he just left. He literally said, "I don't like to rehearse too much. It makes me nervous." So, oh, well, I'm thinking, well, who cares about me, right? What about my needs? I don't know shit about it. So, yeah. So, that was that, and then we were off, um, and that was it. Then we started touring,
Wow.
and
Yeah, that's wild.
the first gig was in San Francisco in front of all my friends there at the time, So I'm like, oh my God. It's
It had to be an unreal experience, though.
slightly unreal. I think it was kind of unreal almost the whole time I was in the band because yeah, it just seemed crazy, and I just thought, I don't know. It was like, yeah, it didn't seem real. It was just like, well, let's just play music, and actually, no, a friend of mine, I think when I got the call and before I went to rehearsal and all this stuff, I was like, hey, what do I do? Oh my God, this is crazy. And this trombone player, Wayne Wallace, up in the Bay Area, really good arranger, good trombone player.
Hmm.
And he actually said something really cool and really helped me out. He said, hey, well, if you get fired, at least you're getting fired by Miles Davis. And,
True.
and it took me like it, but for some reason that really kind of helped me go like, okay, well, just do a good job and whatever,
Just
just
Sunday.
do what you can do, and that's it. And then off we went.
I mean, that is some incredible music to be able to just translate live.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was like going to a school, or I've said this before. It was like being in a dojo or something, where it's just intense concentration and don't fuck up or you're gonna die. you know um yeah, it was pretty intense, but it was great. It was phenomenal learning experience.
How many members were in the band?
Let's see, Ricky, Kenny, Adam, Bobby, um Marilyn, Foley, and yeah, and then Miles. That's like 7 other people.
Okay.
Dang.
And how long were you with them? You said 88 is when you joined?
88 to about 90. 2 years.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah. Well, and
Yeah.
that leads us to this album right
Oh
here.
yes, I see that.
Spirits Dancing in the Flesh. So you go from Miles Davis to Santana. I'm guessing you probably met Carlos at some point.
Yeah,
And
well, uh, yeah, Carlos was a big fan of Miles, obviously.
yeah.
Um, so he'd already seen me play, and then we ended up in a recording studio together.
Okay.
um, this guy, Italian guy, Paolo Rusticelli, did this album, and there's a song called "Full Moon," I think, and he had me playing bass on it, and then he was going to have Carlos play guitar on it. And so we met in the recording studio and at the plant in Sausalito, California. and I was still living in the Bay Area at the time. And he said, hey, I'm thinking of making some changes in the band. Here's my number. You want to do it? I'm going like, of course. So, and I auditioned. The management again. They said, well, come to the rehearsal space in San Rafael, play with the band. And good thing I actually grew up listening to all the stuff, all this stuff. So I knew those songs pretty well. So the band was like, wow, this is great, definitely, definitely knew the songs. So they said, yeah, you're in. And so that was that's how that worked. And they were I was actually a little more nervous then, because I think now that I got it, what the import of like playing with these people was. With Miles, I was in shock, and I was just too young. Yeah, sure, whatever. Then when you grow up, you start getting all weird. Yeah, so it was a little more like, wow, Armando Barraza, oh my God, and Alfredo Reyes and Carlos, Jesus, So yeah, but I did it, and it was fine.
I guess it was okay. You hung around.
Oh no, it was great. Yeah, I mean, the one. I think why Carlos likes Miles so much is that they both think the same way about music, which is, like be fully 100% committed every time you play, and I learned that in the Miles band. Learn to listen to everything, like all the time, like the movie, everything all the time, all at the same time, from the first note to like when you get off the stage, and that's what you need in both. You need it in both of those bands, like you got to be like plugged into everything all the time. What the conga players are, was he doing? Oh, is there a visual cue? Is there an audio cue? Is there this or that? Was the audience like, what, like everything, so yeah, so it was that's why. And Carlos insisted on that, and he's one of the very few, kind of pop rock icon guys that would still wanted that fire and passion even to this day. Like, no, there's no, oh, just play the tune. There's none of that. Never any of that, and now I thrive on it. I can't even do it any other way, otherwise it just seems weird, to
Yeah.
so
Yeah, no, I mean, this album here, Blessings and Miracles, the most recent one, that's like just as good as any.
oh yeah, thanks. It's like, it's funny, Carlos, within all the past successes, and then the supernatural, all that stuff, he's still such a jam band kind of guy at heart, completely jam band,
Mhm.
And I think that's why it's always so much fun, because there's always this cool anything can happen kind of thing,
Mhm.
and I think you need that as an as a human being, but as an artist especially, you it can't be business as usual, it can't be like an office job, I mean, I got into music just get out of an office job, I never want to approach music like an office job. We're like, okay, now we do this, I mean, there's that component to it, obviously, but that there always should be the element of surprise, of fire, of like craziness, otherwise it's boring,
Yeah. No, I definitely feel that with the music too. Like, it seems like honestly a lot of the albums that you're on, like there's a good handful of songs that are, kind of like your standard verse, chord, verse songs, and then there's also a handful that are like these crazy instrumental songs where, like you said, anything can happen, anything goes, and it's like that's what I love about Santana albums. It's like you just listen to it and the songs flow in and out of each other, and you never know what you're gonna get.
And it's like that at the shows too, especially if you go to like the House of Blues in Vegas, because it's like it's great because it's kind of an intimate club. You know, I don't know, the seating maybe 1,800 or whatever. So it's like a rock club. Excuse me. It's like a rock club. It has that vibe, and you can see the people really clearly, and it's not a big arena where it's okay, you know, and you just see people on a little video screen and all that stuff. You know, which is cool, I guess. For, you know, but yeah. So, and that's when it's the most fun, you know. And I think people are getting back to that whole live music and the danger involved, you know. So, I hope anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just gonna say it. I would absolutely think it is. I mean, just speaking from a small portion of people here in Ohio, I mean, people are just craving concerts. Our very own Mr. Adam Klevzig is going to four concerts in 4 days in a row in 4 different cities over the next 4 days.
And you're not the only one. I mean, I know a lot of my friends are doing that. It's and there's a lot of cool music out there. A lot of younger bands are killing it. It's really fun. I love them. Yeah. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah. So who are you going to see?
So tomorrow and Thursday, I'm seeing the same band. You may, if you're into like Cheek, you may have heard this band, Incognito. They're from the UK.
Wow.
But yeah, they're here in the States for 2 weeks. So yeah, tomorrow's up in Detroit. Thursday's down in Cincinnati.
Nice.
Yeah, they're incredible. Just, I mean,
Seen them live.
wait, you say you've seen them too?
No, I've never seen them live.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, if you ever get the chance, I'd recommend. Yeah, they're just, I mean, it's sort of like what you were saying about Santana, where like anything goes, like the songs have a structure, but they could jam out at any time.
And that is the new, you know, that's the whole thing about, you know, millennials and all this stuff where people always, you know, put down that generation. Oh, they don't know how to play, blah, blah, blah. All my generation is generally putting down younger musicians. I think that always happens though.
Yeah.
But
they were probably put down by the generation before them.
Yeah, absolutely. But in fact, all these bands, these guys are like killing, like, yeah, I mean, even and the Gen Zers coming up are it's some great stuff. And all they need is like some seasoning and stuff. But man, there's a lot of good music going around, you know.
Do any specific young bands come to mind?
District 97 from Chicago.
Okay.
We got it. Oh, actually, yes, Hugh Klepp would love them.
District 97.
They're like the heir apparent to like full on Yes. Yeah, you gotta hear them. The first 3 albums are phenomenal. Yeah.
I'm looking them up right now.
Yes, definitely. Another band from Dallas, Funky Knuckles. They're more jazz. Those guys are insane also. Just fucking great. Yeah. I mean, those are, I mean, and there's a lot of other bands too. Thank You Scientists for a while. I love them.
I've heard of them. They're like a little bit more heavier. Like I'd almost call them prog metal, but they have a lot of jazz elements in them.
Well, prog metal, no. District 97 is heavier than them.
Really? Okay.
Thank You Scientists, they have that cool jazz element.
Hmm.
Also, that guy Tom, what's his name, the guitar player, freak. It's great. Thank You Scientists. There's a lot of good ones. But yeah, but those my two favorites lately have just been District 97, Funky Knuckles. So
Awesome. Yeah, I'll have to check them both out. I have not dove in.
yeah, not even like from some big city, Dallas and Chicago. Well, Chicago's Music City, so and Dallas isn't okay. Never mind.
I say, isn't Dallas like the fifth biggest city in the U.S.?
It's
It
not.
is. But a lot of a lot of friends like, oh, Texas, whatever, and it's just bullshit. There's just good music, and
Hmm.
plus, yeah, North Texas State, forget it, it's an amazing music school. So yeah, those are my two recommendations so far.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to dive into some albums over the next week or so.
And they do vinyl also. I'm pretty sure. I know Thank You Scientist did. Um, although I think Thank You Scientist probably broke up. Um, yeah. Anyway, so
So, are you into vinyl yourself?
no, and not because it doesn't sound good. I mean, it sounds great.
Hmm.
You got to remember, I'm old AF, so I went through that already. My son always goes, "You always say that." Well, um, he says that's your favorite saying now, isn't it? Uh, but I went through the whole vinyl thing, like obviously, and I remember CDs had just come out. This is way before you guys are even born. And I just moved again in San Francisco to another new apartment, and I just finished hauling 1,000 albums in fucking crates up the stairs, and I was like, "Fuck, no more. I'm getting these CDs I'm hearing about. I got to get those." So I literally gave almost all my vinyl to my buddy down the. Luckily, he was down the street. He was a sax player, Alex Merzen, and he said, "You want my albums?" He said, "Sure," because I had everything. I had all kind of shit.
Oh,
His
man.
wife was like, "What are you doing?" uh, but yeah, so I got rid of most of my vinyl, and then I got a lot of CDs, and then I was tired of carrying them around. you know, um, so I was all over it. File MP3s and stuff. So, um, but if I had, like now I'm in a completely different like frame of mind. Like music is, I'm always involved in music, so I don't get a chance to listen to just music for like cool fun and an experience. And if I did, I probably would have like a nice vinyl setup. My son even has a turntable. um but yeah, I mean, I can't be bothered now. But I think that's a lot of people might. Maybe not actually. Maybe it's just because I travel a lot, so I think that might have something to do with it. Because yeah, actually, a lot of people I know have turntables. I love it. So, and I say this is great, for the simple reason that the downside of digital files is that it took a lot of income away from actual the actual creators that are creating this stuff. So
Mhm.
while I get MP3s or WAV files, but I buy them from the artist always, like directly. Um,
Okay.
oh yeah, no, I don't stream. I mean, streaming is great for checking out music, but if I like something, I'll go to whatever site will allow me to do it, and I'll buy it, because it doesn't cost that much. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Vinyl, it's great because you know, there is no like, oh, I'm gonna steal it and give it to somebody. So it's a cool thing all around, and it sounds great. So if you have a you know decent turntable, so
Yeah. No, that's why I love it, because I think, compared to just playing it off your phone. It's not like it's the hugest difference, but it's a little bit better, I think.
Yeah, but there's also, I mean, you guys may not have this take on vinyl. Like maybe it's because, I came from vinyl and went through the new thing. But for me and for a lot of my generation, there was a thing about being able to look at an album cover. That was amazing.
Oh, that's one of my favorite aspects of vinyl.
Yeah, I mean, okay, yeah, because I don't know how like for us it was just a given. So yeah, it was amazing because it was a bit large scale, so you could really see it, and there was guys making art that was like incredibly detailed, and you could like, wow, this is great.
Dave Matthews.
Yeah, yeah. Well, does he? What do you mean?
He's the illustrator on 2 of their albums.
Yeah, it's just details on details.
Oh wow. Oh, I didn't know. That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, it's Big Whiskey and the Goo Grux King, and then I think Away from the World in 2012 are the 2 that he has, and I think maybe Come Tomorrow even in 2018. But
wow, really? Oh, good for him, man. Shit, that's great. It's talented anyway. That's wow, that's cool. That's good. Well, yeah, but that's what I mean. It's that large format thing, and it's just something about it that CDs, like it's sort of like this difference between watching a movie on your laptop and watching it on a screen, where like, oh, your brain doesn't have to do that kind of calculation of, oh, it really is like this big, it's already that big, Yeah. So, yeah.
Something else I think that is cool, at least from like my perspective and why I buy it. And they do a good job nowadays with obviously showing those big pictures, but they include a lot more stuff inside the package, and it's cool for me. I mean, it's an art at the end of the day because everything is purposely in here for a reason. Everything's purposely placed, and it's fun to be able to dive in and then just have it rolling in the background.
Yeah, actually, that's another. I forgot because that's what they used to do. They had box sets, and they had booklets sometimes. Like amazing stuff. And you can put that in that format. Because you can do whatever you want with it. Stick it in there, like, yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I pray the most for the resurgence of vinyls as it keeps growing and growing between younger people is the mindset of writing an album for a vinyl, knowing that the listener has to go and turn it over and, hey, we're going to end this side purposely and start this one purposely. I mean, right now it's a very single driven world. And for what you just said, singles are, I don't know, just staying relevant, and it keeps you in the news instead of dumping all your stuff at once. But I mean, that's a big reason why we're Vinyl Stallions is we love the whole story and getting the full picture of what comes after a song, what comes before. So
it's good to know that there's an intrinsic value because I like it, but that's because I'm from that era, So it's interesting that you guys aren't from that era, but you still can appreciate that whole flow. And it's cool because it can be one of many experiences, like an artist can, like before it was just a default thing. Well, I got to make an album. Now an artist can say, oh, well, let's see, I've got this set of songs. Maybe I should make it into an album, or he has 3 songs. Well, I'll just release 3 songs or whatever, like now there's more flexibility, which is cool if they use it, but it's great that you actually recognize it as this art form, an actual art form, which is really interesting and it's good to remember even for me, because that was the whole thing, was a science to it. You're like, okay, well, I'm going to end side 1 with this, and really make them go, holy shit, I got to go flip this sucker over, man. So
and you got to process it during that time as well. You got to be able to like I don't know, me and Klepp will listen to vinyls all the time and pull them at random, and we'll just be like, oh, wait, holy shit, that was 23 minutes, that felt like 4 minutes.
Yeah, that's the secret is like, try to, like, how can you transport the listener, and even live or vinyl, whatever medium, so that they lose sense of time. I know it's like magic when they do that. I'm like, whoa, really? I mean, exactly what you just said. I'm like, wow, really? So, or even in movies or anybody who does any kind of creative performing art or art form, uh, entertainment art form really well. That's one of the key things that happens is that you lose sense of time. Like, wow, that's done already. What? Or if they don't do it right, you're like, God, when is this thing going to be over?
Yes, there's two ways on the street for sure.
So, but that's good. It means you gotta, you gotta come up with your best shit, all the time. So, so yeah, great. That's cool. Interesting that you guys also know that. So that's great. That's cool. Now I know.
Yeah.
Working on an album, so I was like, well, okay, maybe I will do vinyl.
Yes, we will buy it. That club stamp of approval. Club, tell them what you tell everyone.
Boom.
Well, you got to hear it first, and then we'll see. But
Is it like a Benny solo album that you're working on?
Yeah. I mean, I haven't done one in a while, so that's probably what'll end up happening. I've got a couple of songs recorded already with most of the band here in LA. So I need to do a couple more, so I can have an album.
Yeah.
So that is kind of what I'm shooting for.
Yeah.
Except my son is also working on his album, and I have to executive produce it. So
Oh, that's gotta be pretty cool.
it's going to be fun. But
Do you have your own studio?
oh no, I'd write here. I write with my stuff, but for actual recording, I'll go to a real studio
Okay.
and do it. I'm a big fan of really good sound, So, yeah, I'm not a good enough engineer. So,
Do you have one solo album out right now?
yeah, and that came out a million years ago. So it's
What
about
was it,
time.
2012 or something? I don't know.
Try
Earlier,
2001.
2001.
Actually, yeah, about there.
It would have been between Supernatural and Shaman. Is that right?
Yep. And yeah, and it was fun. And I just got to do another. Well, I got to do one because I need to do one just because it has to come out. But then I can start also touring around with my own crazy bands or whatever, So
Are all the songs just ideas that you've written, then you approach like you said like a band? Are there a specific band, or is it just bringing it to specific people?
Like I have been playing here in LA at the Baked Potato pretty regularly with a fairly regular group of people. So it's going to be mostly those guys, and then there'll be other friends, whatever. Yeah, I think there's, like I need to go to New York and do a New York album with my New York friends when I was living there, and I need to do a Hawaii album with my new Hawaii.
Yeah,
that's a good theme. Each city, I like it.
Yeah, because that's where I lived. So, and there's a lot of good music, all those places and good musicians. So, yeah, that's the vague plan for now. But first, I got to finish this, and then I can start, booking gigs in Ohio. And
Hell yeah!
Hey, we'll come see you.
Absolutely, yeah. So, but yeah, first I got to actually, I guess I have to have a product. So,
and again, so are they all ideas that have come from you specifically, or just what jamming with your buddies and you're like that?
I'm a writer, so yeah, I'm pretty specific that I put music together and I write it and arrange it and all this stuff. So the magic is when I get players who can bring all that to life,
Yep.
And then it just takes on a life of its own. But most of them, it's mostly my stuff or arrangements of stuff, you know. Um, although the music industry is also changed a lot in licensing other music. On my that first solo album, I did a version of Mr. Tambourine Man,
Mhm.
and I did it completely differently than Dylan. It sounds, you know, it's my tribute to like Peter Gabriel and all that, you know,
Mhm.
stuff, you know. And it sounds it's a different song altogether. And at that time, the publishers just went. There was this thing that they used to have, and they still do, called a compulsory license. So if I wanted to do a Dylan song, I would pay a Special Writer, I think is the name of the publishing company, pay them a 0.6 royalty on every unit sold. And that's that for audio only, right?
Mhm.
Um, and there, and now it's like publishers want way more money, so they'll find any way to. There, even back in the day, there were special dispensations for if something was a special arrangement of a song, then it constitutes a different pay scale. You know, like because you've rearranged the song so much that it's almost a different piece. So you have to pay us more basically per unit. So, which Special Writer, the publisher for Mr. Tambourine Man, they could have said because it was almost a completely different song. You know what I mean? It was a really radically different arrangement, but they went, your song, whatever, it's fine. Now they're like, even if it sounds similar, they're going to say it's a different arrangement, and they, so it's, and then you have to get approval, because it used to be you didn't need approval. You just did it, and it was cool.
Yeah.
You paid them a bit of the money, and everyone was happy. Now it's like everyone needs approval for everything. It's really
it's crazy.
It's a little. It does stifle creativity a lot, because YouTube is full of people that are doing brilliant things with other people's music, and they get shut down and all this stuff, So, and it's kind of sad. So I do cover songs in my live shows that I don't think I'm gonna bother recording because it's just too much hassle, man. I'm like, oh my god, I gotta go through this hoop, that hoop, and then and who knows what, and I gotta wait, and then it's like overhead. Forget it, just write your own music, and that's sort of how it is these days. Like whatever, it is what it is. It just means you have to write more.
Yeah. No, I've been keeping up with Ed Sheeran had that court case earlier this year, and he went on Howard Stern show recently and was explained to Howard what he did to the jury and how he showed them, and he just played those chords in sequence and sang about 20 different songs all at once. And but he swore that if he lost that court case, he was never gonna write again, because he's like, it's fucked what it's become.
Well, that doesn't. Why stop writing? What the heck? I mean,
I know they were trying to cancel that.
Yeah.
That one main song, and he's like, if you're telling me I stole from this, and there's these 20 other songs that sound the same, then fuck it.
But it's funny because it's the gray area of technology, because it's true, it's those chords, but it's also vibe, in terms of the instrumentation and how those chords are presented, that a lot of people did think of the other song. I did. I was like, what? That's like, so, but copyright law as it is now is just very harmonic. It's like chord changes are chord changes, and you can't copyright chord changes. We don't have the I guess the experience level or the wording, the legal wording and I don't even know where you would begin anyway to say, oh well, like this, like how are you going to legally determined vibe. You know what I mean? So, so it's an interesting dilemma. I did think that, yeah, there's probably should have been some kind of compensation. Maybe not totally, but but there's very little room for all these ambiguous, uh, all this legal ambiguity. In So it's really difficult. So it's going to be either no or yes. Yes, he did play Rise. No, he didn't. Um, yeah, it's not an easy question at all. And I don't think it detracts from him as a songwriter himself. I mean, he's come up with some great songs. I mean, um, yeah, I don't think he should go overboard and say, "Oh, I'm not gonna write again." Come on.
Yeah, he said that afterwards, so I'm sure in perspective, he was saying that. And
I'll see you in a moment. I get it. Whatever.
Exactly.
But yeah, but yeah, I think that's the subtleties of technology and what goes. This is why music is the worst business of all in the first place, because it's the most abstract of all the art forms. I mean, you can't look at, like, I mean, you can look at a painting and, hey, that's kind of a ripoff of that. The music is just so subjective. I mean, literally, like, it's so ephemeral. You can't see it. It's like, you can have it in the background, the foreground. It's like really one of the most mysterious of all art forms, and because of that, it's harder to keep tabs on, hey, who's stealing from what. Like, what do you think? I don't know, what do you think? This is like, it's powerful and really, really, really difficult to comprehend for most people. Like, why should he be paid all this money for doing nothing?
Well, I have an answer for those people, and it's this: music doesn't matter, poor, old, rich, blah blah blah. Anywhere you're living across the whole world, music is relevant in your life, and it kind of always has been, whether it be the cavemen banging on sticks all the way to now AI being able to write some crazy shit. No matter what, you find your cup of tea that you like, and it's out there. And I'll listen to some shit and be like, oh, I don't understand how anyone could like this, but they'll have 500,000 streams a month because guess what? People like it. So that's why.
Or people think they like it because, I mean, that's what I mean. It's so subjective, and that's why but to your point, it's absolutely true. People, I mean, music helps people celebrate things, helps people mourn. It, accompanies us into battle. It's like celebrate. Have parties. You have sex with them. And you bury people with music. You dance with it. It's like really part of the life experience. But it's so, as such, it's like invisible. So you can't. Like, if you didn't have it, most of us would die. But what's hard is a lot of people don't know that. So it's really difficult. So what, like, and like you said, like, you had an answer. Why should these people get money for this? Well, that's my answer as well, but it doesn't seem like it to people. To them, music is just, well, they're just sitting there playing. It's if you're a quarterback, I mean, you can see, wow, look at all the training. Wow, he's got to go out there. Everybody's, like, you can see it. It's pretty apparent, and there are statistics. It's easy to say, oh, look at that shit. He's like, look at his percentage. And music, it's, if someone's like shedding something, it's all in here, and people just see a guy doing this. They don't realize what's going on, all the things that go into, like, making this guy's clarinet solo, like, really, like, nailing it and creating passionate fire, all the technique that goes into it, and the years of practice, the rehearsals. They don't see that. They don't see string of broken relationships, all this stuff. They don't see none of that. All the people that rip you off, and endless stuff, So it's a hard, I guess it's a harder sell, like, oh, but you know, yeah. So I think that's one reason, but yeah, and that's why I'm kind of I'm a little bit one of my rants is that if you like some artist's music, buy it, actually buy it, because
Say
they
no
just,
more.
they just want to buy, they just want to pay rent, man. None of the younger artists I know these days are thinking. They're not deluded. They're not thinking we're gonna be like Led Zeppelin and and have a private plane and like whatever. They just want to eat, and raise their families, and stuff like that. That's all they want to do. So I'm a big proponent of buying stuff, and streaming, great, like, but me, I'd rather have a copy on whatever device that doesn't have anything to do with what kind of signal I'm getting or what country I'm in. Oh no, I can't get this. Oh no, I can't do this. Like, oh, it's stuttering. What? Bluetooth, everything is screwed up. I just want to listen to my own music whenever I want to, wherever I want to.
Yeah.
And I think that's why, to get all dark and conspiratorial, I think this is why Apple killed the iPod, because they want to control the money, basically. Like, if everyone just had their own stuff, they wouldn't need the streaming service, and they make a shit ton of money off the streaming service. So I think that's probably, it was part of their grand vision, but who knows? If I get assassinated like in the next week, then you'll know why.
We're going right to Apple HQ. We're going to tell them how we feel.
But yeah, so anyway, yeah, I just went on a tangent.
Well, so one, that's what our podcast is for, and two, you did it on something that we've only scratched our surface on. I've told Klepp I want to have an episode on with like a panel to just talk about just briefly what we even just did, the essence of music in the normal life. And we'll do that another time because I want to get into some more. But something that you said was people don't even realize how important it is. And yeah, hell, you're just walking around the grocery store, they're having music playing always. But it's crazy to see it come to the forefront live. Mm-hmm. And when you're just, again, hanging out at a party or something, there's music you may not know in the background, but boom, Smooth comes on by Santana and you are just reacting like crazy.
And even live, I mean, I tell you, that's why Carlos is the way he is, because I mean, people go to see music, and it's like you guys, why? Because, and some people don't even know why, but it's really that whole feeding your soul. Because if you think about life the way it is, digital culture and everything, it's pretty dehumanizing, I mean, everything is like, nobody's paying attention. Everybody are like at the supermarket, everyone's on their phones, nobody gives a shit about anything, So live music is one of the few things that reminds us that, wow, we're alive. Because you hear a song, like you say, and wow, I got these memories. Whoa, shit, like, wow, it's crazy what music does. It's like a hologram, or there's, you have a little bit of the hologram, but then you see much more than just that little bit. Like, you hear a song and you're thinking of smells, and you're thinking of that time, and those people that I was with, and this whole shit that happened, and it's kind of crazy. So and even to this day, we play, when we break into some songs, and I see even like an innocuous pop song like Smooth, for example. I mean, okay, the song that everyone started to really hate because it was so popular. But I mean, I literally, especially at the House of Blues, I can see people down there just losing their shit because, like, oh yeah, my that song meant this to me, or Europa, or whatever, that means shit, and that's important. That's a very religious experience. I've seen people cry, like literally tears at Smooth. For I mean, not even it's a song about, hey, Smooth. But I mean, because music means stuff to us as humans, and I think that musicians should always remember that, how important it is, because they have to respect the audience, and then people need to understand a little bit more about the music and the music making process, and so that some of the, because if you don't support the people you like, they're going to go away. It's like a restaurant, if you don't go to a restaurant, they're going to close. And it could be the best food ever, but you gotta support them. So and music is pretty damn cheap, I mean, compared to a lot of other things. So yeah, $10 for an album, a digital album, or 15 for vinyl. Wow, okay, fine, that's great. It's like 3 drinks at Starbucks. So
Yeah. No, I mean, I tell any artist that comes on here, I'm like, if your music is on vinyl, and maybe I should, look past that and like get more into the digital downloads too. But I guess like what I always say is like, if it's on vinyl, I will buy it. And I have kept my word.
yeah, I mean, they have to, think about the technology. Vinyl is it's a great way to keep, the music and keep the income with the artist, like, all that, because the only problem, well, not the only problem, but one of the big problems with streaming is that most of the money does not go to the guys that are like really putting a lot of effort and a lot of work into stuff, to creating these things. They, and they, I mean, it's pretty sad, so, yeah, like, yeah, it's kind of weird.
Yeah. No, I mean, I get it. Like we had this band on called The Reign of Kendo, and they're like
those other guys, those are great. Those guys were really great.
Kendo?
Yeah.
Yeah, we had them on sometime last year. You saw them live?
No, they had the song called "If This Is Music" or something.
Yeah.
Or
I hate
it's
music.
Really, I hate music. Yeah. Yeah, they were good too. Although I know they had a lot. They didn't survive.
Oh, they have a new album coming out. They just took a little bit of a hiatus, but they're back.
They get a different singer, because I know the lead singer was kind of like going to check out and just not do anything for a while.
He did, but yeah, no, he's the band leader. Yeah, Joey's his name. So back last year, we had him and the bass player Jeffrey on, which are the 2 only remaining founding members of that band. But okay. I guess the reason why I bring them up is like what you were talking about. They I mean, if you look at their Spotify and YouTube numbers, pretty good. And they were talking about how like, over the whole band's career, they have like maybe like $10,000 to show for it as a band. And they're like, for how much people are listening to our music, like we should probably be getting more from, Spotify, YouTube, whoever for it.
And I agree. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. All these younger artists, and I know nobody's expecting to become millionaires. That's not even the point,
Yeah.
This is like, artists are providing a service just as much as chefs and doctors, they should get paid, like fairly, and that's the only problem with and I love technology. I love the, everything. I'm a big, technologist and futurist, and I love all that stuff. But I mean, and the tech gods have a lot of power and a lot of money. And I think it should be a tiny bit more fair. I mean, just a little bit. I mean, I mean, they do a lot too. Yes, there's a lot of research, but most of the CEOs don't do jack shit. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a shame.
Hey, we'll keep pushing our audience to do some of the things that you mentioned that could help just support artists, and not even just local
Yeah.
artists, like
Any
any artist.
artist that you like, like that. Oh, this is my jam. Fucking buy it, man. Then it'll always be your jam wherever, all the
Yeah.
time.
And even if it's not the music, like merch, like
Merch is great too. Yeah, absolutely. That's what, and that's what people have to do now. I mean, they have to do merch because that's the only way they might have some hope of making this month's rent, for God's sake, So, yeah, it's not an easy life, and
yeah.
I don't think anything should be handed to everybody on a platter either. But I mean, a little more fair would be great,
Mhm.
see what these guys are going through, like Rain, I mean, it's like, I mean, all that talent and artistry, and and I mean, they get diddly squat. That's kind of a drag, So yeah, vinyl's a good way to do it, or CDs, even if people like that. I don't know.
Mhm.
Anything physical is a great. That means the money goes to the artist. Merch is physical, Um, so that's it. I mean, and I'm not anti-tech. I'm not a luddite, or I'm not going to go off and write a manifesto in some shack in the woods. Um, um, no, I was just a little more fair, so that these people that are doing great things, can just live and have a little piece taste, like
Absolutely. Yeah, no, there's enough to go around. It just has to, like you said, be distributed. So, well,
little. You don't want to be like communists or anything. Just we got to find some way to because when you've listened to these bands, I mean, I swear to God, it's great. They're great, and they really take you places. That District 97, just like that,
I mean,
Funky Knuckle.
yeah, it's entertainment at the end of the day. And guess what? So are sports. And no matter what, whether it's physical or, like you said, people scamming you, going through relationships, like spending hours and hours and hours of practice. I mean, it's entertainment at the end of the day, and it's coming to light with sports in the more recent years. So yeah, hopefully we'll check back in a handful of years, and maybe we'll see some progress in how we can
Yeah.
support the community.
Thanks for you guys' efforts. Right on.
Of course, and thank you for being willing to talk. I mean, this has been incredible. We talk about how art moves so fast when you're in it, and I feel like we're in art right now. I can't believe we've just been yapping.
Right. It's been an hour and a half. Holy crap.
Yeah, it's been crazy.
Yeah, it feels
All right.
like it's only been 15 minutes.
Yeah. All right, Benny, I'm going to hit you with one. What are some of your top Santana songs that you've been on?
Oh, wow. I still love Smooth, actually. I like that one. I like the actual song Spirits Dancing in the Flesh.
That song rips.
Yeah. Um, that was my first album with them. A lot of the Africa Speaks album is also
Bembele is one of my favorites.
Yeah, that is we had a lot of fun with that. I mean, we just blew through those songs. Were like, I mean, we just kept, it was like jamming basically. It was so fun. Yeah, Bembele is really good. Other ones, Milagro, I like that album.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Speaking of Dave Matthews, that one, I love that song. Love of My Life.
Love of My Life. And isn't Carter the drummer? He plays too, right?
Yeah, that was fun. He was fun to play with. Yeah. Really good guy. Actually a lot of the songs, Migra is a really fun jam. I like that. Yeah, there's been so many. Also on Milagro, um, Agua que va a caer. That was a great one. That was fun for me personally. There's a lot of favorites. And then that's not even counting the ones I'm not on. That there's a lot more. You know. Um, so yeah,
How
that's my
Yeah, no, I appreciate you going into that. Those are some incredible songs, and like you said, we couldn't even touch anything
Most of the
decades
time when we
before.
ask people something like that, they freeze in their tracks. They're like, I can't pick.
yeah. Well, I couldn't really, but there's a lot.
You at
Yeah,
least gave us something.
I was gonna.
Some-
Yeah, always with top whatever. I'm like, you ask me tomorrow, my shit's gonna be different. But you caught me on a good day for whatever songs that I chose. How does the process with like? I mean, you've been in the band for so long now. With like writing these albums, is it improv? Does Carlos bring a lot to you? I mean, or does it vary album by album?
it's yeah, kind of a combination of both. And depending on the album, you're right. Um, Sometimes there's a concept like the one with the Isley brothers on it.
Yeah, power of peace.
Our piece that was really cool in a different way. That was our specifically picked songs for Ronnie Isley to sing,
Hmm.
uh, and we just arranged them mostly on the spot in their studio. Um, yeah, that was where the songs were already pre-picked. Africa Speaks was like, here's these skeletal, bits of some of these favorite jams that Carlos liked, and then we just took them in a whole different direction. And Yeah, that was like a jam album. It was like that was like Africa Speaks was here's a skeleton, just go, and that's what we did. We just went. Um, and then Supernatural was a completely different thing where there's a lot of producers involved. Uh,
Yeah.
and that was fun for a different reason. That was like, okay, they're songs that were very specifically written by these people, and the production was different. That was cool because there were so many different production styles that it
Yeah.
was great. Yeah, it was a great experience that I learned so much from all of them. So
I feel like Shaman and All That I Am are kind of the same way. Would you agree?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, yeah. I mean, I think Supernatural. There were some really special artists on there.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the most popular albums in music history. Like,
Yeah,
forget Santana, like just music. That's like one of the highest selling albums of all time.
I mean, that was a great. Yeah, I mean, it was a great idea. I guess I don't know. Clive had a lot to do with it, and then Carlos. I think it was a great collaboration between Clive and Carlos, and then just all these cool artists that were in it. Just because they really liked Santana. There. So
Hmm.
it's a good, a good collaboration. It was great. Yeah, fun. I learned a lot. It was great. These different artists and their uh, different approaches. So
Yeah. And it's interesting to me that, like, I guess it's not surprising, but it's interesting that that is the most popular Santana album. Yet in a way, it's kind of like the most different than a traditional Santana album, if you will.
yeah, 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 yeah. Well, that's Carlos, and has always got something different. Like I mean, that's like almost his trademark. If you think about Caravanserai, the fourth album.
Oh, I love that one.
Uh,
Super psychedelic.
it's like a different, like had these three albums that were all these hits, and then there was this crazy album as a fourth album. Um, And that's just
Borboleta and Welcome are kind of the same way.
another thing. That's another departure in a different realm. Lotus, I mean, uh, all that oneness and all, it's completely different. I mean, he's got like 32 albums, and there's just like so many different like approaches and styles and crazy, that's how he's still around, I think, because just don't stop, just keep doing what you need to do. I think that's the takeaway is you keep doing what you need to do until you can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, like even making wine or whatever it is, you got to keep doing what you need to do.
Yeah, what satisfies the soul.
Yeah, because ultimately it's going to be of value to people. If it's worth doing, it's going to be worth consuming on some level. So yeah, I mean that's the way it works.
And it's not only doing it with someone so talented, but the longevity, as you just said, 32 albums or something along those lines. It's Carlos and the Rolling Stones are just people who I just am jaw dropped to be able to still be able to see and still be able to put out just quality music decades and decades later.
I mean, Stevie Wonder, Elton John, crazy stuff. So
Yeah.
Elton John's another guy that is like, if you really think about how many albums he has, he's got another one like plus 30 albums to his credit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because so the ratio to hits and album material is pretty, pretty high. But he didn't stop. He just, I want to do this now. And there's this concept thing. I'm going to do Broadway now. It's guys like that are inspirational, like Carlos, just like they just keep doing what they need to do. Miles was the same way, like like, oh, I like this sound. I want to do my version of this, of 80s music or 70s music. Oh, wow, Hendrix has a wah pedal. What's that like on a trumpet? Wow, you know what I mean? Just you're going to get a lot of flack anyway. People are not going to like what you do regardless, so you might as well do what you need to do.
Yep. And hey, again, we've talked about it before, there's always someone out there will find it interesting no matter what it is.
You need to do this whole thing, you're a podcast is like, that's something you need to do, and why you need to do it. And it came out of just an idea. You're like, oh, this seems like a good idea. It felt when you guys were talking, it's like, this feels great, and so let's do the next step. And that's what you did. So it's all a matter of just keep going and doing it. Otherwise, nobody's doing it for you.
I mean, I say it about myself. I'm working on a solo album right now, but you have to be your biggest fan. It doesn't matter. Like, you have to be able to say, I'm doing this for me, myself, and I. If it resonates with someone, that's cool. But right now it's about doing this for me, so I have something to look back on.
And that's great. And if you want to do it for other reasons, it's actually valid too. Like,
it is.
Mm-hmm.
You are still, even if it is for yourself, if you're going to release that onto the world, it's for other people too. Otherwise, don't release it, right? If it's really just for you.
Very true. Yep.
So there's always going to be somewhat of, okay, can I, who do I want to reach? And is this going to reach who I think it's going to reach? And, I mean, free jazz guys, avant-garde jazz. I mean, the ones that are successful, they know they're not going to get a big audience. But they know that, and they only want to speak to the people who would want to listen to that, which is great. It's the jazz guys who think they're going to be like Taylor Swift. I think they have a problem, but but if you understand, the marketplace, how the marketplace generally works, you'll be able to find some degree of success. I mean, it's like, okay, well, this is for the guys that like Reign of Kindo, like, it's that kind of style. So is this good? Is this, you don't pander, you just make sure that it's saying what you want it to say in the best way possible for your intended audience. That's all. So which is not easy to do. So yeah, it's a weird process. Well, good luck to you though. That's great.
I got my man Klepp on drums, so we're gonna be all right.
Good. And yeah, I say just keep going. That's how it's done. Just keep doing it. Great. I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, we'll definitely pass it along to you.
Yeah, we can't wait to hear your album. When you finish that, yeah, shoot us a DM and we'll check it out.
Sure, man. Thanks. Yeah. Hopefully I can finish it.
Oh, I wouldn't even think that it wouldn't get done because I don't know. Yours,
My son's album, and then
I guess you're right. Yeah, I forgot about that.
What type of music does he play?
he let's see, the first 5 songs we did kind of like prog soul, if you will, but then he's got this other rock and
Okay.
metal thing that he did. So I don't know. I mean, it's 19 years old, first album. He's gonna do whatever he needs to do.
Is he playing all the instruments?
He can, but it's funny because he actually wanted the band experience in
Very
the studio. So he said, I mean, he can play drums really good too. But, and here I am, like, well, we spent all this money on drum lessons and drum sets, and now you don't want to play drums on your album. But I thought, that's great. Awesome. And so he got a good drummer, Ulf, and we tracked with Kenny Etchison on guitar and me on bass, and we tracked 5 songs. And he said he wanted that more than the him playing everything thing, and he knows that he can play guitar and play all this stuff, but he also knows that, okay, but there's an experience level that Kenny has that he doesn't have, and he just wants the best for the song. So I said, great, do what needs to be done, so I think he will do a couple of songs. The prog metal thing he wants to do himself, only because he said, I don't want to, it's too hard to make a chart for it.
Yeah, that type of music is like
Very
complicated.
Great, okay, fine.
Where can people find his music? Is it under his name or?
Under his name when it finally comes out. He's been pretty poor at social media stuff. He doesn't like it,
Hey, it's a bitch, honestly, to make, but we'll pump him as much as we can.
Another job, and I get it, so he's getting a little better, but yeah, he's on IG, McConaughey Elliott. Yeah, so it's interesting for me to see that generation, like what they're gonna do,
Yeah.
like millennials, District 97 and fucking Nichols, and I guess he's Gen Z, I guess what it's called. Or whatever.
I mean, I feel like every father, I mean, I don't even have GF right now, but I'm already imagining like, all right, if I have a son or daughter, I will make sure he has a guitar in hand by 3 months old and that. But so, and again, that's just me being greedy because I want to yam with my son later.
Greedy little pig.
But how is it for, I mean, your son is obviously interested in what you're doing. I mean, how is that for you?
It's great and terrifying at the same time because, like, I mean, I'm proud as fuck of him, I mean, and he's so good at so many things, and it's great. Wow, great. And then I think, what the fuck? He's gonna be in the music business? It's the worst business of all. And I encourage this in my son. What? So yeah, you know, I mean, you know, but you know what? Like everybody else, every other generation, they got to do their own thing, you know. Um, and he has a passion for it. He doesn't, you know. So hey, who am I to, you know? Um, so yeah, I mean, yeah, it's great, and he plays with me on all the big potato gigs. So, um, yeah, so
Where's the big potato at?
it's in LA, Studio City, California.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, I'll be posting some videos from the last gig, which is about a week ago. So yeah, um, yeah, I didn't do it on IG. I try to mix it up, Facebook, IG, different content. So whatever, but
Yeah.
yeah, I will. Yeah, we have a blast, you know, and it's been a great journey, you know, getting him to, you know, like learn the subtleties of how to play music, but in the moment, and how to create stuff from nothing, you know, which is a lot of kids don't get because we grew up with that, you know. Okay, let's get in there, jam, and let's create something. A lot of that generation hasn't had that opportunity to do that, so I figure I'll give them those tools. So
There's nothing
That's
like a jam
true.
sesh. There ain't nothing like it.
yeah, I mean, you know, like, and things go and they happen, you know. So yeah, that's a well, it's good that it's coming around full circle because that was when I was coming up, you know. I mean, that's all we did was get together and just jam, you know, for hours, you know.
Yeah. And then songs evolve. Like there's certain songs that Spruce and I have been playing where it's like,
Yeah,
well, we just like it'll just be played a different way. It's still like the same notes and everything, but like maybe the dynamics are different. Maybe we repeat a certain part, you know. Maybe it depends on how much we had to drink or like there's all these different factors.
I mean, that's part of the hard part about writing or creating is that sometimes like which version do you do, you know?
Yeah.
That's why a lot of mine have tempo changes. I'm like, I like them both.
I mean, okay, yeah. I mean, I think is as long as it says what you want to say and it has the feel that you want people to feel, which is really hard to figure out because it means you have to be an audience member at the same time. You know, you have to remember what it's like to be out there instead of just up here playing, you know. Um, and that's the trick of it, you know. But yeah, if it has that vibe, then do whatever tempo changes and all, whatever the fuck, you know, whatever it needs. You know? So yeah.
I say songs are ever changing as well, and that's why I love both him and I love jam bands. Hey, at the end of the day, you put it out there, it's out there, but guess what? It's forever evolving.
And where Carlos is like the ultimate loudest jam band guy, always was, you know. Um,
Three
that's what,
percussionists, that's like a
oh,
staple of jam bands.
and the way we do, you know, now he wants to shuffle set lists around, and you know,
Yeah.
it's the way we do it. That's that's how you keep things, fresh and like kind of like on the edge of like, hey, it could fall apart, but when it can fall apart, that's the most exciting too, right?
Yep. Absolutely.
Well, and I guess too, as like an audience member, I think it makes things more exciting because, like, I mean, I'm a nerd, so like a band goes on tour, I'm gonna look up their set lists and see what they played, and like if you see the same set list 3 shows in a row, that's what it's gonna be the whole tour. But then when you see that it's like changing, then you go to the show and you're like, wow, what am I gonna get?
I mean, with with those kinds of bands, you're going to get a certain hit off of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Know what they're all about, but there's going to be that element of surprise, so that's always way more fun, so
Yeah.
oh no, I hear you, man. That's the way it's the way it should be done. So
That's why I'm going to Incognito back-to-back days, because I know I'll get a different show Thursday than what I get on Wednesday.
who else are you going to see? said you.
So Friday, don't judge me. I'm going to see Taylor Swift.
Tay Tay, yeah.
Yeah. I my wife and her friend are really into it. I'm like, you know what? This is one of the most popular artists in the world right now, playing football stadiums.
Yeah.
Why not check it out?
I mean, you know, she does puts a lot of work into it, and they've got a great management. Her management is great, you know, really smart. Yeah, I mean, that's a different kind of music, you know. That's like, you know,
For sure.
people need that too, you know. It's sort of like, you know, McDonald's, where, you know, you definitely, you know, that there's a place for everything, you know, and that's like a different experience, you know, and those people want that. They don't want to be fooled, that, or and you know, that's fine. It's okay, you know.
Hmm.
They, you know, it's a definitely a show, and it's programmed, and everything is like exactly the way it is, you know. Actually, I had a I had a girlfriend who was a Taylor Swift fan, and she's going on and on about it. And you know, it was so great, you know, like she came out and she you know, the crowd loved her, and she started crying at this show. I was like, really? Oh, it's like, it's so off the cuff, she said, you know, like, let me check that out. And then I see, oh, Taylor Swift cries in Cincinnati, Taylor Swift cries in Houston, Taylor Swift cries. It was like, it was part of the show, and I tried to tell her that's part of the act, and you know, works for people, you know, but you know, it's like, you know, it's a different thing altogether, and nothing, not to
Hmm.
her at all, because she had to, you know, that's a lot of work to do all that at that, and the songs are quality songs, and they're not my favorites, but they're, you know, they're not shitty, and they're not stupid. They're like, it's like a little bit more too poppy and by the book than is great for me, but what, you know, it's not like it's,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, me too. That's why I prefaced it by saying, don't judge me.
But no, but you know what? I mean, the thing is, you'll probably end up enjoying it anyway, because
Oh, absolutely.
it's a different thing, you know. Like,
Hmm.
my friends thought I was crazy for listening to Britney Spears all the time, but I loved the Circus album. It's fucking fantastic. So
Yeah.
I was playing it over and over again. They were like, my jazz friends were like, "What is wrong with you?"
I mean, I feel that one of the vinyls on this shelf back here is InSync's debut album. They
Oh,
just pressed it, and I'm like, you know what? I listened to this so much as a kid growing up. I'm buying it. It's still good.
I mean, that's part of your history, and that's the part about music that's cool. It doesn't matter what style or whatever. I mean, yeah, I just you like what you like, you know. That's all.
Absolutely. And then who else you seen? Club OAR?
Yeah, so OAR, they're a jam band, kind of reggae oriented, but they're good. Seeing them Saturday.
Good. Where in where you live?
I'm in Toledo. I'm the Taylor Swift and Tomorrow Incognito show are in Detroit. Thursday Incognito's in Cincinnati, and then OAR's in Columbus. So none of the shows are in Toledo.
Cincinnati. Oh yeah, Riverbend. Oh.
Yeah,
Yes.
so Incognito, they're playing at a smaller venue. It's called Ludlow's Garage. It's underneath this really nice restaurant and like this mechanic shop called Ludlow's Garage.
Mhm.
But it's this very unique music venue. So like the way the crowd is in like the middle of where like the crowd would typically be is a wall. So when there's like left of the stage and right of the stage, it's very pronounced.
Oh, nice.
But it's a super intimate venue and the sound is really good there. So I do like seeing a show there.
I remember once before Supernatural, we would play in Vienna with Santana, and there was this one place. It was like a club, but they had an outdoor stage in the back. It was basically, and it was a biker bar, basically.
Ooh.
But you know what? It was a great vibe. All this graffiti all over, all these, you know, leather guys, you know, you know.
Hmm.
But it was like the backyard of this biker bar thing, but a big-ish one. But And it was the funkiest thing, but it was always a great show. It was fun as fuck, those kind of things. Those are the things that you can't, replicate, that kind of thing. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you've probably been to some very interesting places throughout your travels as a musician.
Yeah. I have to say. And my favorites are generally the small places, I think. Like Toad's Place in New Haven, Connecticut. Um, oh, what's that place in Cincinnati? We played with Sheila. Agora? Is that in
That's up
Cleveland?
here in Cleveland. Yeah, that's up here in Cleveland.
Agora Ballroom. That's good. That's cool. I think I just like that more. Although some big places are really cool too for their own. Like Budapest is a great, like a sports stadium, but you think it would sound like shit, but it actually sounded really good. Um, and then Rio de Janeiro, the whole Rock in Rio thing with 100,000 people. That was amazing for another whole different reason. But yeah, it's all over. Played in some crazy places. Yeah.
Absolutely. No. Well, Benny, you've been way more generous with your time than
Sure, yeah,
last. It's been an absolute pleasure. Just I don't know, chatting it up with you, chopping it up.
yeah. Next time we'll just go have a beer or something. That's what we would do if we were live. So
Yeah,
Oh
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, we can do it. I know, like we said, you're coming up our way to Northfield. I think it's a Sunday, June 25th. So
I can see it on my calendar right there.
yeah. So hey, I don't know. Maybe we'll link up for that. I don't know if I have any plans that evening, but
You know, yeah. Let me know. Text me or email me, whatever. And
absolutely. But we always have an encore here on Vinyl Stallions, and we're going to stay on brand. And
Spruce, before you get to that though, there's just one small question I have. Benny, on your Zoom username thing at the bottom, it says the guy formerly known as Hey You. I've been seeing that this whole interview. So I just gotta ask, what is the backstory to that?
oh no, just comic because sometimes I do Zoom meetings with people, but
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to have fun. So like just it was a joke. It was hey you. You know, no big story, unfortunately.
it's all right. Well, so we always ask. So we ask every guest this one question, and it's as simple as this: what is your most memorable concert experience? And this could be you playing one, you attending one, could be memorable and oh my God, this is amazing, or oh my God, what the fuck did I just witness? And feel free to name multiple if many come to mind, but
probably the first one would be yeah, there's a couple. The first one would probably be with Carlos. Actually, I just mentioned it, Rock in Rio.
Mm-hmm.
In 1991, 1990. Yeah. Javon comes on stage and does a song with us. And Javon is in Brazil, a legend, an icon. He's like a folk poet laureate. I mean, amazing songs and music. And he comes on and he does this ballad called Oceano. And Oceano is a really pretty ballad. It's in three, and it's got all these typical Brazilian music. It's got all these harmonic changes, and then there's this a minor section, and the melody goes all over the place. It's not your typical, pop song. And I wasn't prepared. I'm getting chicken skin now thinking about it, but we rehearsed it. And I think, oh, this is a nice song. It's beautiful. Wow, cool. Great. He's going to come out and sing this. Great. I stupidly had no idea that he was that big, So he comes out, and of course, the crowd goes nuts. And we do this song, and it's a real, sweet, tender song. And there's 120,000 people in that audience, and everyone is singing to this song. every one of those people was was singing that song along with him, like the whole song. And Brazilian, they have a lot of music in them, and
Mm-hmm.
they're not. It's not a lot like like Happy Birthday is in the United States, where nobody can sing on pitch. Everyone's singing this. There's all these modulations, and they're singing it, and it's 120,000 people singing this beautiful song. And that I remember like being floored, and to this day I get still goosebumps and really moved by that experience. That was like that was amazing. So yeah, that was probably the top up there. Playing with Miles Davis and Carcassonne with just this 2,000-year-old walled city in the south of France, which is
Mm-hmm.
gladiators, used to, do their thing. And the moon was like up there, and it's these ancient Roman ruins basically, and we're playing, and he's playing time after time, and just that's another pretty big deal. Yeah, I mean, playing Smooth at the Grammys, that was crazy for another reason. It was like, seeing a whole bunch of heroes like Sting over there and Dylan, and they're all like, and they're standing up applauding a band I'm in, like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So, that was for a different reason, a memorable thing. Yeah, I mean, some of them, yeah.
Those are incredible
Yeah,
ones.
some pretty good ones.
And I'm sure, yeah, everyone always hits us up after and say, I have so many more that come to my head. And I tell them that's the beauty of it. We'll have you back on here at some point and we'll be able to dive in more.
But it's good to just spring it on people like that, like.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. It's raw.
Yeah, it is. And that's like pretty much one of the first things that come to mind is that. So
awesome. Hey, well, Benny, again, thank you very much for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure just talking with you.
Yeah.
And you say, and I know Vinyl Stallions is a platform to be able to promote people such as yourself, but really anyone in the business and just the music industry. But I am, again, going to be a greedy little pig right here and say I love to learn a lot when talking to guests. And so I learned a lot today, and I appreciate that.
I mean, that's what I like too. I love that shit. Even if you're just hanging out, seeing people do like amazing things, you always learn that. I love that shit. Yeah. That's exactly when I was an extra on Breaking Bad. I was always just watching those people do amazing things,
Wait, whoa, hold the phone. You're on Breaking Bad?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm episode 514, Ozymandias.
I'm watching that show right now because I just finished Better Call Saul. So I'm like, well, now I kind of got to watch Breaking Bad. So I'll be looking out for you.
I know as an extra. It's not like I had anything to do with anything, but I just stood there making coffee. But
still, though, like, do you watch Star Wars at all?
Yeah, well, I haven't kept up because there's so many. I can't,
Well, so the Obi-Wan series, Flea is like one of the villains in the first episodes.
He'd be a good villain. He's great at that,
Mm-hmm.
He'd be great. Like he's in like Big Lebowski too. So
did not know that.
What?
Well, so I get killed by my friends for this all the time.
Yeah,
there are
he's
so many big movies that I just haven't seen. Big Lebowski would be one of them.
Even better because now it's the first time. You'll go crazy. It's fucking awesome. Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm a big kind of a movie guy, so yeah.
Club is blind, and that's pop.
A lot of my friends are too, and so they're just like, "What? You haven't seen this? You haven't seen this?" And I'm like,
"Oh, well, that's good. Dude. I get to see it for the first time, motherfucker. So shut up." Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you guys.
Of course. Yep. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Good luck with everything. I think you guys are doing a great service, and it's really great to hear for me, the opposite end of the spectrum, and figuring out how people are really thinking. So this is great. So I learned a lot too. So cool.
Awesome, Benny. Hey, well, thank you very much. We will absolutely stay in touch. But besides that, my name is Spruce.
Bruce.
I'm Clep.
I'm Benny.
And that's Benny, and this has been another episode of Vinyl Stallion.